Wood Lake, Nebraska, May 2014. On a bike tour from Park City, Utah, up to see my grandmother in Wisconsin, I was crossing the surprisingly scenic Sand Hills region of northern Nebraska. I'd stopped for the night in Valentine, finding a campground on the map just outside of town, though the campground turned out to be an RV park that allowed tent campers. The noise of the generators and general smell of diesel fumes made for a very poor night's sleep, and I didn't feel like backtracking into town for breakfast, so I choked down some instant oatmeal in the tent and headed out at first light to the next town down US 20, or at least the next town big enough to have a restaurant. Wood Lake was 25 miles away, and just a few miles outside of Valentine, I found a construction zone. I lined up with the cars behind the pilot vehicle, and for the first couple of miles, riding like it was a race, I was able to keep up with the 20 to 25 miles an hour that the cars were going. Then we hit a hill, and I fell back behind them. That meant, not long after, the pilot vehicle came back the other way with a long line of traffic heading down the single open lane towards me. I had no other option but to dismount and just stand off the shoulder until the last line of cars passed. Finally, about an hour and a half after I had left the campground, I pulled up to the intersection in Wood Lake and found Ma's Diner. Inside, there were a couple of truckers eating silently at the table, and the one server slash cook slash, I assume, owner. I ordered the standard bacon, eggs, hash brown, coffee, orange juice, and friends. I tell you this story because that morning, in a town of 49 people in northern Nebraska, I had the best hash browns I have ever eaten. I called her over and told her this, and she told me that her secret was she grated her hash browns from the previous night's unused baked potatoes. Yes, people. Yes, yes, yes. Those hash browns are what you're actually looking for when you order hash browns in a restaurant, and that is what you so rarely get. But again, like she said, cook the potatoes first.
Now, are these like completely baked potatoes, or are these like par baked so they can put them in and cook them right before the meal?
I think they were completely baked through.
Okay. And secondarily, you were at a place that actually does baked potatoes.
Yes. Yeah,
That,
makes it
that
different.
is that's a great fix. I'm going to try that.
Yeah, like when I was at the Mariposa, we would bake potatoes specifically for the gnocchi because we needed potatoes for that. But it's not like there was ever a baked potato anywhere available on the menu.
I mean, I know we're getting away from breakfast, but you don't see the baked potato in like the tinfoil wrap that's opened up with like the sour cream and the chives and like the bacon bits, and it just comes out of this huge, gorgeous thing right next to your steak or your pork chop, and it's like, oh, that looks great. You don't see that anymore. It's something I kind of miss a lot from restaurants in days gone by.
Yeah. I don't know why the image of Howard Johnson's just came into my head, but that just seemed
Because you watched Blazing Saddles last night.
Oh yeah. Howard Johnson is right.
Down to the orange roof on Howard Johnson's outhouse.
All right, well, so let's quickly run down some of the common things that Americans do eat for breakfast. We've already mentioned the meat, eggs, hash brown, toast. When I think of breakfast, that's kind of what I think.
Pancakes.
Pancakes and waffles were the next thing on my list. Yep.
The brunch place I'm going to, so they do souffle pancakes. They always do them as a group. They don't like do them individually ordered. So when someone's, hey, I want the souffle pancakes, they're like, hey, we do those all at once, and they come out about every 20 minutes. And they're the nice thick ones, and they're so filling. It's not even funny. Everyone will order them, and then like your entree will come out. You'll be eating, and like, and here's your pancakes, or your pancakes will come out, and then 10 minutes later, your food comes out because they do it in a group. And I have people like, this is the weirdest thing, and I'm like, well, no, they have to do them in a mold,
sure,
to hold them in that so that they grow properly and don't just fall all over. And they're like, oh, I'm like, so that's how they have to do them.
But that does remind me of places that do a Dutch baby because that takes usually 25 minutes. It takes a while to cook, but I have never had a Dutch baby I've been disappointed in. Yeah. Usually if you're going to put it on your menu, you know what you're doing with it and they come out good. But I also want to mention the lemon ricotta pancake because I enjoy those sometimes too. I've seen them on a couple of menus, but yeah.
Now, something else too, the place I talked about before, Herms, like the breakfast place up in Logan. My friend Stephanie, who lives up there, got their recipe for their lemon butter.
Ooh, yum.
So when she was out here visiting last, I have lemon butter in the freezer and stuff. Anytime I make pancakes, and I don't know what it is, when you taste it, it's okay. It's very mild. It's very whatever. Then you put it on a pancake and it is fantastic. It just the way it blends in with the flavors and the textures and stuff. And it doesn't matter. Like I've made blueberry pancakes and put it on, and it's like one of the best breakfasts I've ever made. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it's so easy. How about your side meats? I mean, you got bacon, you got ham, you got sausage.
Any of them.
Me
I
too.
don't often choose the ham. Sometimes I kind of have to be in the mood for it, but bacon and sausage I'll go with anytime. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I mean, I like when they have that nice thick cut of ham once in a while. And then my family we make an Italian sausage that it doesn't last that long. That's when I actually start cooking a lot of breakfast, when I have that every morning, like just one patty, and it's like.
I was going to say my ideal breakfast sausage has both some sweetness and some spice to it. Normally you get one or the other. But yeah, and really, well, I know people who do not eat bacon for either religious or dietary reasons. I've only ever met one person who's claimed they don't like bacon, and I think she was lying. I think she was just saying that to get a reaction. But okay, and then waffles, I do want to, because who doesn't like a waffle? But I will say the one variety that I saw that the first place I saw it was actually the Normal Cafe in Mesa, Arizona, had a chicken and red velvet waffle on their menu, and that was spectacular. Both aspects were done very well. And I have seen red velvet waffles in other places. I do a savory waffle sometimes where I actually put finely diced ham, cheese, and peas into the waffle mix and then make the waffle from that batter. And it comes out good. You can put an egg on top of that. It's tasty.
And adding an egg on top, that's always great. I mean, I anytime I have a pancake or waffles, there's always eggs on the side, so I can have the eggs with the pancake and waffles, because instead of having the toast, you got the pancake, and it just all mixes together well. And I mean, it's one of my more favorite things.
And as my friends in New England will attest, it is worth it to pay the extra for actual maple syrup and not the pancake syrup, which is just dark colored corn syrup. Then omelets. And in fact, there is a wide variety of life in omelets. There's a range. It's a spectrum.
If you ever want to wonder how hard breakfast is, there is not really a dinner service or a lunch service I can think of where you walk up to the chef and say, this is exactly what I want in this.
Correct.
I mean, the omelet line, there's another one for you to watch. Watch how many different omelets they make. Just boom. And you're like, oh, they have all the ingredients and stuff. It's like, they do, but when people see that, they're not ordering their usual Denver omelet that they make at home. They're ordering their, ham and cheese omelet. They're not ordering just their regular plain omelet. They're like, oh, since there's all these options, I'm going to mix a whole bunch of stuff together.
Yep.
And then there's one guy standing there or one girl standing there and just doing that for 6 hours straight of just nonstop call. That's like, as a bartender, not getting the Jack and Cokes and stuff, but people just finding some random specialty drink list and walking up, like, I want this. I want for 6 straight hours. But it's like they get to choose their own adventure in the drink. It's like, I want this with this, and this. And you're like, okay. And just again and again and again. We haven't gotten to the Eggs Benedict yet, and the variations.
But yeah, Benedict's.
Love them. Yep. Love them. I mean, my brother makes an incredibly good hollandaise. Like, anytime I go to visit and stuff, at least one for breakfast one day, he'll always make some sort of Eggs Benedict, and it's fantastic. I love the salmon Benedict.
Oh, sure.
With the lox. I love it being made with lox.
For a while when I was running my kitchen in Park City, that I had to do a breakfast service or a brunch service on Sundays, I did what I would call the Fluoro Benedictine, which was essentially a Benedict with both the Canadian bacon and spinach on it. Because I like a Florentine too.
Yeah.
It tastes good.
Place I go to, they do a breakfast carbonara.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, it's really nice. They do all the bennies and stuff. They do a chorizo grand tartine. Mm-hmm. I mean, they do Turkish eggs, which are basically soft eggs with yogurt and different spices and stuff. And it's fantastic. One thing I like about this place is that they have breakfast styles from all over the world.
Sure.
They've got the chicken and waffles. Love chicken and waffles. When it's done right, chicken and waffles is one of the best things on this planet.
All right, then I have the whole class of oatmeal, porridge, farina, grits, which it's a staple. I'm not. I've got a story about grits that I'm going to get to in the last segment.
Does that include cream of wheat?
Cream of wheat. Yeah, that's kind of farina. Absolutely. I ate a lot of cream of wheat as a kid, and then I moved to college, and it just left my life.
Same. I probably had it 2 or 3 times a week when I was a kid, and then when I got to college, I don't think I've had it since.
I really have to think about the last time I had a bowl of farina, and it has been a long time, decades at least.
Easy.
But then what I had for breakfast yesterday: yogurt, granola, fruit.
Yeah.
The acai bowl, if you want to go there.
And those are great. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, and oatmeal too. I eat oatmeal all the time. I mean, personal recipes, little oatmeal, some berries, some walnuts. When I get into my workout phase and stuff, I actually start adding, like, say, a chocolate protein powder to it. So it's like a chocolate oatmeal with all that. But I mean, oatmeal has been a standard for me forever. And the regular one where you just add the hot water and make it that way. Not the instant.
The issue for me with oatmeal is actually all the bike tours and hiking that I did. By the time Dee and I were hiking the Appalachian Trail, I just was burnt out on instant oatmeal. I couldn't eat it. I can't anymore. Kind of like, maybe at some point we'll do an episode on trail food, but those who hike will know the tuna packets, you get sick of them at some point. They're really easy. They're super convenient. They're cheap. They pack easy. They're lightweight. It's good protein, but oh boy, do you get sick of the tuna packets.
If you're eating them once in a while, fantastic. Yeah. It's a nice little snack. It's a nice little lunch. Like, this is great. Put it on some Triscuits or something. And then after day 17, you're like, all right, which flavor do you want?
Right. There was a shelter in Pennsylvania where there were 5 of us staying that night, and so we were all making dinner about the same time, and one of the 5 of us was a vegetarian, and I said, "Oh, you're the one not sick of tuna packets yet." But all right, but then the breakfast burrito, breakfast tacos. I will say one of my memories of growing up in Chicagoland, especially actually the year after college when I moved back to that area, sometimes my ex-wife and I would go into the Pilsen neighborhood in Chicago and get lingua y papa tacos from this very specific Mexican joint, and they were so good. But that was the place where you see the little abuelita in the back making dozens of tamales every morning. That's the place you want to go. I love those. But breakfast burritos in general, what's not to love? I mean, again, you can kind of modify them to some extent, but just the standard eggs, some kind of breakfast meat, some kind of cheese, maybe there's potato in there, maybe not. I'll take it.
Usually peppers.
Oh, yeah. Peppers and onions.
One of the big things, and it's kind of nationwide, but one of the big things now is birria.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's like my little hole in the wall joint I go to for Mexican food. You'll go in and they're like simmering the birria when you walk in. It's like, oh, can I get a birria burrito? It's like, won't be done for another 2 hours. Okay. Right. I'll come back in 2 hours. Yep. I mean, yes, it's great. And on the same thing as the breakfast burritos, the breakfast sandwiches.
Absolutely. That was actually my next one, is breakfast sandwiches. And that might be my go-to. My most frequently eaten thing for breakfast is English muffin, bagel, whatever it is, egg, meat, cheese, sometimes arugula. Sometimes I get fancy and I'll whip some spinach. Yeah.
Honestly, for me, just the basic bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit from McDonald's, and I'm like, in the little horrible hash browns, and I'm like, that makes me happy.
One thing I do miss from living in North Carolina years and years ago were the Bojangles breakfast biscuits. I don't really mess with Chick-fil-A too much, but Bojangles, yeah, I could go for that right now.
Out west, we don't have Waffle House, which is literally breakfast all day.
It's just breakfast. That's
no one goes into Waffle House and orders a burger. You get your steak, you get your eggs, you get your hash browns a million different ways.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. In the Midwest, there are Parkins, which is like,
I remember those.
Waffle House's slightly more sophisticated older brother. Slightly more. You could always tell them from miles away because they have the largest American flag they could find flying out front.
Yes.
So when you're traveling through the Midwest and you see a huge American flag in the distance, it's probably either a Perkins or a car dealership. I love them so much. Bagels, just a good
Yeah.
bagel. And I will say, I'm out west. I get it. Nevada is not known for their bagels, and that is one thing I got spoiled on living in Brooklyn as long as I did. But there's really not a good bagel place out here. There are some places that do have bagels for breakfast, and they're fine. I mean, there's one of the coffee shops down in Gardnerville. They're fine.
I mean,
Great
every major
bagel.
city out here, there's the one place or the two places that insist on importing the water to make the bagels properly, which I think is key.
Yep.
But that's it. Every other place that has a bagel, they bought them at Costco or got it from Nicholas or something. They're just like it's sort of like bread. It's not really a bagel. It doesn't have that firmness a really good bagel is hard to find. And when you do, that's where you go.
Yep.
I mean, and again, on my bagels, I'm talking cream cheese, I'm talking lox, I'm talking capers, I'm talking diced tomato, I'm talking red onion. I mean, that's for breakfast. I think I'll go buy that today for breakfast.
There was one point at Deer Valley, we had a bunch of bagels left from a breakfast. I mixed up a batch of cream cheese with sriracha, bacon, and maple syrup in it. And that is actually what I want on my bagel most, because you got the heat, you got the that savory bacon bit, you got the sweetness, and it tasted like breakfast. Then donuts. Actually, again, at Deer Valley, especially later in the season when all the cooks were kind of into their mode and I didn't have to do as much kind of over the shoulder work with my cooks. I had a little bit more time to play myself. I would frequently make donuts for the crew. And my favorite one that I came up with was a bacon donut with an espresso glaze. And they were perfect. There was nothing wrong with those donuts.
Big fan of the maple bar, big fan of the maple bar with bacon on it. We've got a place out here called Devil's Donuts, and they're open until they're out.
Sure.
And some days they're closed at 7 a.m.
You
go in there like we're out of donuts and we've been open for an hour. It's like, oh, okay.
There was in Lower Manhattan the Donut Factory, and again, they're open till they sell out, and they do sell out.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, well done. I love a good donut, but again, my favorite donut place here in Carson happens to be kind of squeezed between a mattress store and an auto glass shop back behind a car wash. But oh my gosh, they do the right job. But okay, so then quickly, that's kind of, oh, wait, one more. Cereal.
Yes.
I haven't really eaten cereal regularly as a thing since I was a teenager.
I eat cereal when I just don't feel like cooking. I'll go to Costco and it's like, oh, I'll just buy these special K 3-pack of boxes with 3 different flavors of cereal. Mm-hmm. And then I'll just pick one. And it's like, I'll eat the blue one with the blueberries today. And that's pretty much, it's fine. There's like cereals I crave from being a kid.
Sure.
You know, there's those. It's like, I know mine's weird as hell. It's not even sweet. It's grape nuts. No one likes those. I know it's really weird.
They're not, I mean, they're not terrible and they're good for you, but
whatever. I love that stuff.
I can't really even rationally explain this, but if I could get a box of Fruit Loops from the 80s when there were just the 3 flavors.
Yes.
I mean, sorry, not really flavors. The 3 colors.
The 3 colors.
Red, orange, and yellow.
Yeah.
Because they all basically taste the same. You had mentioned kind of the Irish breakfast, the English breakfast, sausage, eggs, beans, tomato, mushrooms, toast. Good.
Maybe an egg.
Filling. Yeah. Oh, yeah, an egg in there. One of my grandmothers, the other one, grew up in Austria, and what she often had for breakfast were essentially rolls and then sliced cured meats and cheeses and then juice. And it was lovely. There's nothing wrong with that. And then I do remember one of my clearest memories from the semester that I spent in Germany when I was in college is the second half of that program. We were in Munich and we were walking across the Elisabethplatz about 7:30 in the morning on our way to class. And there was this couple at one of the big picnic tables at the big outdoor open air market that had 2 Weisswurst, which are the German breakfast sausage, a big pretzel, like the good Bavarian pretzel, and a liter of beer. And that is a German breakfast to me. Is that what I crave every day? No. But do I recognize that as the appropriate thing to eat? Absolutely, go for it. Let's take one last break and then we will get back. I've got a little bit more I want to talk about small town breakfast joints. So stay tuned.